starting on defense and compositions. What we've already seen near enough for this G2 side. But we do actually see Kellogg's on the sky and Nucky back onto the race for one of the few times we've seen it.
Yeah, I was expecting that kind of change. I was going to tell you, I mean, you should be happy because Mixwell is back on the Viper. You said you wanted to see more. He's going to show us a lot more. They chose to start attacking on this bind. Let's see how they do. Here's just taking a lot of info, waiting for their players. See if timing is favorable to Nuki.
Just find the peak, but it is quickly clouded off from the jet from BT's side. Coldamenta is going to go walkabouts on A. Brizion might have spotted him with the peak, but nevertheless loses the battle still. You two might want to reconsider moving this, and they do so. Jumping through the teleporter. It's a nice play from Zeon to actually catch the players they're going through. Mixwell turns his back at the worst time, but G2 are still finding openings, still finding kills. They found a mostly open A site.
Yeah, when this smokes, there's only the Sage wall missing, but they're not playing with Sage this time because Nuki, as we said, is on that race. Pretty risky to go through that smoke. I don't know if he had a flash, but that dry pick could have cost him a lot. Still, is a 3v3 situation. Roma's gonna use his recon where his teammates are ready to go on for this post plant. Let's see. Nuki watching and guarding the back of the team. Teleport. No one waiting. And should come pretty soon. Still has Navarro still has a Smoley to clean maybe lamps. Yeah.
He's put it in the smoke, and Coldamenta tries to hide from the recon dot. Is forced to of this sky smoke, but still wins that duel against Navarro. Jumping out with the right click of the classic was only going to get you so far. And Nucky now holding off this plant. The defuse was attempted, at least from Zeon, but a triple kill comes in from Nucky. It's nice to see him back on the raise, and it really goes to show that this agent pool for G2 is incredibly deep with the compositions they could run. They played something different before. Last time we saw them on bind. Here's another composition that they can pull in and make work.
You know, one word that I think we could use to describe G2 on this qualifier is flexible. Because we've seen so many players. I'd say Coldamenta is the one that has swapped the least. Because he's been between Sova and Sky. Now he's back in the Sova for bind. They're so flexible. They're so versatile. And I think that's a great word to be described by in this Valorant.
It's only doing some better than some of the other teams. Wasn't even an expectation, I don't think, for G2 to qualify.
That is great.
To do it this handsomely is nice. As Mixwell, G2 making use of the bigger guns. He's trying to close the distance, but it's flawless. It's players running into Spectres, and a nice clean round for G2 kind of sums up the series and their tournament so far.
Yeah, and it's good to see Aboba back on the Brimstone. I remember, I don't know if it was last year, definitely, with Heretics. He used to play this Brimstone on Bind. That was maybe one of the first matches that I casted of him. And he was just great. Then he went back to the Omen. He's just a great controller and a great player. And that was a round that was supposed to be for them. Mixwell was expecting the position of Betis because they know that on those ecos they're going to do something aggressive. So that was just beautifully read and played. See how they do in this bonus round.
You can make it 3-0. Feels like it could be curtains for Betis at that point. Jeon, yes. Very cautious, is about to get smoked off. Nucky still has that boom bot to go through. It's the Trailblazers, the first bit of utility to come through. And Nucky actually not using this chance to push on. Benefiting off this stim pack. He's looking for a fight. He might not even need the stim pack to win it, but he catches one on this double peak. Could have potentially got both, but at least the Sky with a better weapon on the Vandal brings it to a 4 versus 4. So rotate comes in for A.
Yeah, and this A side, they also have the Viper wall to divide the side in 2 pieces. Kirith will be on one of them, and Prisionero will be on the other one. Prisionero comes from CS. He has a long way back in esports. Nice. Kirith not only gets 2 kills, he also gets the spike on the floor in showers. And now Aboba and Coldamenta need to decide whether they're gonna look for the fight. They should. They achieve the spike and try something from there.
There's no chance for a cute strategy here.
Gun here.
15 seconds left. They need to just win these close-up duels. They know that Navarro could be playing on that angle, and the Molotov's going to force it out.
Nice.
Perfectly placed.
Yeah.
Batiste getting the 4K. Kriv?
Kirth.
Kiv. It's an important round for them to win, and a bit of a gap in play for G2, at least for the first time that we've seen them in this series today.
Yeah, though we have to, remind people that this is the map that I told you that I thought it was going to be, more tight between these teams. Not only because Betty's picked it, but I think it's pretty much still people are still trying to figure out whether to counter some things, and I think there's too much room for different playstyles. Again, gets the first one.
He's going to continue for more if he can.
Yeah.
Should be a bit of a... There's still a full buy for G2.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the first time today that we've seen them win a 4 versus 5 round. You've wanted to get out of there, but isn't really going to give up that space all that easy. The Trailblazer might make him reconsider.
They're playing a lot around those orbs to get their ultimates, and with that information that Kirs have, they were rotating, but they came back to A. They're not buying this B side just yet, but yeah, it's gotta be B side.
The Ultra Strike, I like that play from the sky though. It instantly preemptively strikes onto this G2 team that are heading in onto the B side. Luckily Coldamenta is there to break open. It's a nice opening to make sure that the sky's not going to be part of the server for now. Now, Coldamenta wanted to keep an eye towards the defender's spawn. Elbow control is going to be harassed by G2. Romas doesn't have a recon dart, just a shock dart, and is down to 60 HP. Can't win that duel against Devova. He was very keen to take that space, even more keener to hold it. It's a nice little pull-through play from Batiste, or at least it was a nice attempt. But Coldamenta showing that you can lead by the calls, lead by the strategy, but also lead with some kills. A nice triple K for him.
Yeah, we were saying he was not very present in kills, only the scoreboard in the last map, but definitely he's a great player, and he's going to show us during the whole series and during the entire VCT. I'm sure this is all we're going to get from him. And let's see, because this is a rough situation economically for BTS. See what they can pull out in this round. Kirth is going to use his Stormblade to play and maybe get some aggression on long B. Yeah.
Can't even seem to really turn it against G2. Even if you take a player, they're just able to take 2 more. Keith Bladestorm is about to run into Nucky. It's Navarro that actually protects him, that ends up getting the kill. Prisionero. It's
how you say prisoner in Spanish.
Oh.
Prisionero.
I'm just so used to ignoring some of the numbers at the end for names.
I'll teach you how to read in Spanish.
Prisionero. No?
Perfect. That was perfect.
Oh, good. I feel Prisoner is actually a really cool name, even just
the
English version. He's not quite in jail yet. BTS have the keys to open this, but does require buying and getting through this Viper's Pit. Close quarters battle with Mixwell is on the cards. Very easy to pronounce his name. Kellogg's has been pretty radio silent on this guy, at least for the impact of these fights that he's taken, and he has quite a lot to do. The spike has been planted. You'll notice that Coldamenta is over in A main and gets killed through the smoke from Keith. Now Kellogg's breaking these fights one by one. The defuse was already halfway there, so it would have been more of a challenge. He tried to stall. He's looking a lot better on this map. 2 rounds out of 5 so far. And they're hot on the tail of G2, who I think can still afford.
Yeah, I think they can. I think from that round it was very interesting how Bromas decided to go into the Viper's Pit. It was literally a coin toss, because they didn't know of his positioning. He goes in, gets 1 kill, gets out, and waits for the rest of his team. Kirth with the Stormblade was pretty helpful. Also, the flashes, just getting all day in for and clearing the site for them. I think it was a beautiful retake. 2-3. That's more of what I was expecting for today.
Not a buy-up available for G2. at least for some. A Vandal in the hands of Mixwell, just a Sheriff for Nuki. He has a rocket launcher in his pocket, and he's not afraid to use it. It's just whether it gets used on this round is the question. It's a lot more expensive, and you can't necessarily just throw it out and hope for the best. Needs to be a calculated decision, and it seems that one is coming in from G2. A B hit. The showstopper is dedicated. It is firing onto the corner. Zeon has found a nice little off angle, a dangerous one, but it works out perfectly. And now Keith is adding more to the problems on this side of G2. It's looking like BTS could go even on score here.
Yeah, and that Viper wall is not giving them any info for what it's inside B side. Also, they're collecting the rest, just what they need. They don't only have that Viper, they also have that Brimstone. This double controller creates the perfect space for them. And now it brings the question up to G2. What are you going to do now? Are you going to go for it? Looks like they are.
Zeon has been much better player on this bind map. He's still playing an elbow, and G2 have still managed to find a way to make this close. It's a 2v2 on the site, at least, and Navarro, they're trying to protect onto Kellogg's, who has it all to do. Would have been a nice multi-kill start, at least if he could find that fight onto Navarro, but it's all body shots. He goes down to low health. The third defuse for BTS in the third round to bring us even.
That was scary, because if he would have gotten that first one, he would have had time to hide from the refrag of Kiers, and maybe there would have been another one for G2. This is a 3-3, and apparently we're gonna see the first timeout coming from G2. Really, the attack is not what they expected, so they need a minute to see how they're gonna think of the rest of the half.
I see that Brahms is in chat. Clearly Vitality keeping an eye on this game. They faced the opponent. It really sort of looked that they were possibly looking to just instantly try and anti-strat G2 with how that first map went. Might be easy to assume that that's going that way, but
I don't think it's possible. I don't think it's possible to counter-strat something that is not that clear. You know, I think that we have seen so many different things from G2 in most of the maps that I wouldn't know exactly what to expect. Well, I understand that if you have a very strong map, like for example this bind, and you see how they're playing today, obviously they may do maybe a slight change, but on the rest of them, like I think you can get lucky on one map.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's more that Vitality are looking at this. It's difficult to prep for an opponent whilst it's all happening in real time.
Yeah.
G2 would be the safe assumption. Betis is now actually looking to be a bit more scary, showing us some of the form that got them here in the first place. So a very deep part of the tournament. In the top 25 at least. And Keith, we saw how much he wanted to play with the operator on Ascent. Wasn't able to do all that much with it, but already it's having massive impact on this. Nuki tries to dash his way in. And Mixwell slips his way in onto site, trying to play off of Cold Dementor's recon dart to get some kills through the toxic screen.
He has rebellious position though.
Catching onto Bromas though. It's a nice trade for the teammate, but unfortunately the Spike's in an awkward position. You got Navarro that's actually pulled all the way through B, through Market. He's playing off of where the Spike's being dropped to Mixwell. He's not in a safe position. He's going to try and go through the smoke. Navarro's there waiting.
Yeah. I think it's very interesting what teams do after the pause. It's not only the team that's been taking it to think how they're gonna see and how they're gonna read the rest of the map. It's also what the other team is expecting from them. Here with this operator, not only here on Bind, I think on Ascent was brilliant. We were saying it. He was taking that first kill, but it wasn't enough for Betis to get the rounds. But I think in this occasion in Bind, at least the first round, it goes for him. Puts G2 in that eco situation, that pocket round or that Shiko, as you said.
Beautiful use of words. And it seems to be going from bad to worse for G2 on this map. We'd almost sort of assume that they'd bugged themselves in for a position, but now we're seeing more of a fight back. And we said on day one we wanted to see what G2 does if they're put under a bit of pressure from the enemy team.
They want to create confusion right now, you know, with all the changes and not being really sure of what they're going to play and how they're going to do it. Because if they show you that they can do anything right, that is scary. That is really scary. Because if they can adapt to any team, they can do anything. They can win anything and anyone.
Another defuse has to come in for Betis. Navova actually picking up a gun on the ground, wins the duel against Bromas. Now elbow is going to be really difficult for Zeon to take, but that's a nice little peek to get that information, to get the kill following. There's a guiding light that's going to push more into elbow, but Avova wins that fight easily. Smokes himself off, they're playing for time. Bigger guns are not available for Coldamenta. He's holding onto B lobby with the Sheriff because the orbital strike, soon as that spike was even sniffed on, the orbital strike was there to delay it a little bit more. There's not much utility left to work with. Prisionero does go down. Avova, the triple kill is there. And an excellent round for him and a thrifty for G2. Keeping them in it so far.
Yeah, and Coldamenta decides to die because he didn't have enough time to pick up a tier 1 gun from the floor. And I think it's pretty interesting, and I think it's a mistake from Betis because both Coldamenta and Avova they gave up their positions, and they know that Avova had his ultimate to play around. Coldamenta was smart enough to change his position and just waited for Avova to do his thing. As we were saying, Avova is a great player, and I think it would have been more smart smarter from Betis to just go find Avova, because they should know that there's no way that they're gonna get the defuse while he's alive.
Keith, not afraid to take a little bit of damage, loses all of his armor for the most part. Takes that spot as the Viper's Pit is actually going to land right on top of where he was holding. Nice
scary.
Keith goes down. Kellogg's has found a bit of pressure in. And look at this push coming out of Zeon. He's actually made his way all through the back. G2, this is unlike them. They usually like to work the maps. I've seen them being kind of crushed into a position like this. They're now going to reset. If Zeon's not careful, well, he's just opened up all that room onto B, and now Navarro has a lot to do holding onto this B site. He doesn't know if or when or which direction this G2 team might attack him from.
I mean, they definitely know that they're not on main A. They do not have the info in showers, but Zeon, I mean, spotted 2 of them go in. He should have thought better about taking that peek. If he would have waited until they made the next move, maybe we would have seen a different result. It's a 5v3.
30 seconds left.
Navarro was put in that position. Nice. It was a bit of a make-up break. Lucky through Hooker has been able to grab onto this B site. They're very good at holding onto it, digging their claws and heels in. And even with Prisionero over on A, he's under a bit more stress. That Viper's Pit not going to be used for all that much. I dislike how that went. You've got the Viper's Pit on A. G2 still wanted to go there. Pushing for info, I don't think is that necessary.
Yeah, I think the push was just too tight. You know, if the Viper's Pit is there, like if you look at the map and you see the space between where Zeon was pushing and the Viper's Pit, the options were pretty high, but they were there, and they were probably moving, or at least checking their backs if they're not going into the Viper's Pit. That was a mistake, but at least they're saving the guns this time. They're saving an operator for Kiers. As we said, he's been doing really great on it, and I think Betis needs him to keep it this way.
G2 retake the lead.
Anyone have funds to spare?
Be a shame for Betis. I keep saying Betis, as in it's like
Betis.
Like Betis. Yeah, like Betis, like the.
I'm gonna teach you how to read in Spanish, and you're gonna learn how to pronounce all these words. It's really easy.
It's
easy.
I think
It's not hard.
last time we're casting together,
It's
unfortunately.
plain rules for reading.
I can't wait.
You may not know everything, like you may not learn how to speak it, obviously, but you know how to read.
At least I'm trying. That's the main.
Yeah, of course. Oh, take it back to the operator.
They don't want it in this game anymore. Navarro, though, as the judge, is low health, and one thing that G2 have been doing super successfully is if they're under a bit of pressure from B hookah or B lobby, something in that garden area, the player in the opposite position is able to push out and attack the defending player from behind so consistently. It's a really good watch because G2 like, oh, there's a player in hookah. I'm just going to run through lobby and kill them, and nobody from Betis is going to be able to actually contest me.
I think they also decided to start on this attack. We know that the double controller on attack, especially on this bind, it gives you a ton of possibilities, and the fact that you're also playing with double info from Sky and Sova, and also the fact that Sky has the flashes. But you know, I think it's just too much, and that what you just said, it's kind of easy to do. It's easier if you're G2, obviously. So you can get this duel. Keithers is playing aggressively, just looking for the info, looking for the shots, looking for the duel, obviously.
It's a dirty off angle, but G2 expecting it. Oh, this lineup of players, I feel for a second there. Yeah,
I don't think it's...
It's awkward. Ramos at least escapes with his life.
Yeah, they didn't expect him here. There. It's just crazy. With the recon, and then you get the flash, and then you can pop flash with Sky. If you master that, the game is yours.
Spike planted.
Xeon 1 versus 5, no pressure at all. First duel is found, the first duel is lost. Took a while for G2 to ramp up in this round, but they take that one flawlessly, and Betis now, money doesn't look good.
Yeah, but they gotta spend it all. So last round that we're talking about for this defense for them, been having serious complications on this B side, and probably that's where they put in 3 other players in there. Using it with this one right here. Also the Viper wall, always on the same side. I think it's gonna be a slow round, this one.
They are trying to go for a bit of an early fight. Has the Seekers. Keep having the Blade Storm, uses it. Orbital Strike is the last available ultimate, at least for Betis off the bat. There's a Viper's Pit for Mixwell, so I think one of the main win conditions for this round, at least for Betis, is to make sure that that spike doesn't get planted. It's important for Prisionero to not get caught out in a position that he's in. He is going to be felt for the full stun of the Trailblazer, but there's not going to be a player trying to fight in. Vibes get actually used on A main, and this puts a lot of pressure onto Lamps.
Yeah, and Kiers used all of his blades trying to double dash up and get a kill, but he didn't make it. Oh, Jian gets a kill, and he also gets the spike down. The Seekers are coming out for him. See if you're fast enough. Oh, it's literally what you said. If you're coming for me on long, I'll be pushing from short.
Actually, Kellogg's was able to slip in by, and that's the Seekers not being used, I don't think. I know it was maybe thrown out towards the end amidst all of the chaos. Navarro holding onto the site has lost track of where Nuki's playing from, and he's actually a lot deeper than he may be expecting him to be.
Yeah,
Nuki,
now
30 seconds left.
He's got 30 seconds left.
You gotta play this more.
Enemy remaining.
Wow.
Or he could just do that, the showstopper right at the end. It doesn't catch on to the kill. Prisionero still alive in this second. The spike still hasn't gone down. He goes up into the sky. And there's the Nuki form, the Razor we expected. Clutches out yet another round for G2.
Seriously, like, what is Nuki's clutch rate? I need to check it. I'm gonna go on VLR right now. I need to know what's his clutch rate, because during this series, I would say it's at least the 60 minimum. It's a crazy player. We're missing him on the race, and just we ask, and G2 delivers.
Just as they were looking a little bit shaky early on, you got to say, a good attempt from Prisionero to try and fight in that duel. He's only 2-10, but I don't think that's necessarily telltale of why things might have gone a bit wrong for Betis. It's not necessarily been down to the Viper play alone.
I mean, it's hard to play against Nuki, more when he is on race, and more when he has the showstopper and the grenade. So
pistols again, Xeon again. That's for the wider peak, hoping to find a closer opponent on the left-hand side. But Coldamenta is holding his ground. Bova gets 2 before he's traded, and a couple more added to Coldamenta's tally. So Bromas, even before he can really set himself up for the action, had the lineups ready for the Sova, and before they hit the ground, the rest of his team is dead.
yeah, this Top position for Bromas. Spike's not his and not enough HP. Nice refrag from Nuki. Takes the frenzy and just goes on to next round. It's gonna be probably an eco from BTS. They didn't even manage to plant the spike. Pretty explosive, this G2. They've been doing really nice pistol rounds. It's important for teams to prepare for those ones. Because they really set up, you know, a climate for the rest of the half. Different Viper wall from different teams. Let's see how they do because this should be a fast round for G2.
Yeah, one of the things I've liked about G2 is that they don't have the need to force up. They're not trying to force a play. That's nice from Zeon. He's sort of continuing on what he tried to do before, but knows roughly where Coldamenta wants to stand. But this close-up opponent of Avova might not be expected. Sky has utility in hand. You don't want to use the Trailblazer because that's going to be an easy push from Avova, but it depends on how quickly they can get stunned. Kellogg's coming through to teleport. It just seems to take everybody by surprise. Avova is there, holding close. That showers control. And 3 members of Betis alive. All seem to be coming through one direction. Let's see how well Mixwell can hold it off.
It's amazing. It's literally amazing how you say players not playing together for this long, but having things so prepared as this one. As I know this guy's here. If she flashes me, I'm out. Push with me. And it's just, as you said, it just catches you by surprise. And it gives you a boost of, an enormous boost of confidence throughout the rest of the round.
You could put any of these players on duelists and they'd shine. I know early on my thoughts were, I don't know how much I like Kellogg's being on the Sky. I think that's a bit of a waste of the talents he has as a duelist.
I think it's important for him to swap roles. Yes, I think it's important.
Agreed.
He already knows that he's a Jet god. He needs to be more than that if he wants to be and keep being a tier 1 player.
You have Nucky on the team as well that'll want to stretch the legs on Raze now and again. Gotta respect that. If they can get the most out of this Kellogg's player with him also playing for the team and not just himself and padding his own stats,
that's talent.
That's a
what
scary
you want in
team.
your team. Yeah, exactly.
Very in line with the legacy that G2 have set up for themselves, not only in Valorant but in esports altogether. Betis 4-10 down, full buys here, bonus round coming in with Spectres and those kind of guns for G2. Kellogg's gets one with the weaker weaponry. Keep does a good job to try and actually clear it out. Coldamenta pushing on, holding this corner. It's not really going to amount to much as the reset has come in for Betis. They're looking to go A. There's not really that much pressure on Shower, but Avova is keenly watching it from the back of the A site.
Yeah, we're trying to push on B long. Looks like A is going to be way easier for them. It's a 4v3 again, bonus run for this G2, but they have all the positioning and lamps. They do not have the vision, but they will have it soon.
Avova just pushes out. Zeon has been really good on the Sky. He's going to continue to be Prizzy and Aero. Adds a few more to his tally. The second is there for the Sky. I wouldn't necessarily say it was a pivotal run for Betis to win, but it certainly alleviates their chances. G2, however, because they were on an eco bike and still full buy here.
Yeah, they were still on that bonus, so they have to think of this round as very equal for them. See if we see some aggression. You know, I'd like to see it. I like, as we were talking about Kellogg's, I like the solo play ability that now Sky has. But I like him when he's playing more for the team. Bet he's playing really standard, especially at the beginning of the round. They're probably expecting, you know, one of this Mikros at the beginning of the round.
Zeon is on one.
Oh.
He's actually managed to make his way through, completely bypassing Avova, but their shots are going to be heard. I think they're going to bump into each other at this point. Avova just sitting there the whole time. Zeon's going to be kicking himself for that. More of a shame, but he gave up that position.
Yeah.
And the rest of Betis is making their way onto the A site, but that's another awkward mistake coming out of Keith then. Romas at least able to trade out for the opponent, but it's a 3v3 and G2 are still holding very close. Mixwell on an angle that I don't think Romas is going to be expecting. Cleans up the kill nicely.
Yeah. Nicely weighted as well. 3v2 still. Most of the defendants are on that A site. Smokes are gonna fall any moment. Oh, Mixwell has all the info that they need. The rotations are coming. And all Venoms to prevent them from getting in the point. Oh god.
Varo using the orbital strike to his own advantage there, really. Comes from the defended side of G2. Doesn't stop the spike dropping. The recon death from Coldamenta has always been good to find some information. Varo trying to make sure that these G2 players are pulling in together. Wants to take those fights their own, but Coldamenta, it doesn't even matter really. Only goes down to 45 HP and 11th round for them. Betty's, seeing as they've won that last round, they might be okay for this one too coming up. But as we inch ever closer with both teams inflating their rounds, G2 are only a couple away from match point and closed qualifiers.
Yeah, and I think the economy for Betis is not especially good. I think they bought on last round, right? But they obviously need to force for this one. They need to force for whatever the match is left for. They really need this rounds. Here's what they're seeing. We're seeing a Guardian. We're seeing Kirsa is going to be playing with that Stormblade. See if he can be explosive again. We're seeing basically the same setup in every attack round from Betis. That's great. That's exactly what they need. First open kill.
Tempo slowed down just for a brief second. Do you think the Jet did spot exactly where Mixwell's going to be playing from? Hunter's Fury is used on the defense. While coming across onto B long. Betis have done this a couple of times, resetting over towards A. Avova is still holding on to Showers. Nuki has a nice little angle here, but that's a really nice shot from Prisionero. That is not an angle that you expect to find a player.
Oh gosh. Avova was completely called out by that recon arrow. Coldamenta finds Kirth, but this is still a 4v2 situation. Viper Spid is also on the way of this drone, trying to get any info of where the players are standing. Oh, still Coldamenta's getting all the shots today, almost all of them.
Mechanically, he's there with the rest of G2, but numbers way too much for him to handle. Mixwell looking to not be a part of this at all. Maybe if there's another gun on the ground and operator that was left quite some time ago, I haven't really seen all that much of ops part of this half.
I would like to have Mixwell playing operator with Viper.
That'd be interesting. I mean, you're not going to see it really from Kellogg's. Well, Nuki doesn't usually like to do it. At this point, Mixwell can at least punish the economy just a little bit more of Betty's. But I'm curious on what G2's economy is going to be like themselves. Might be able to grab some stuff. It looks like they can buy. But yeah, you're right. It isn't that great.
Yeah, I mean, if you were thinking of Kellogg's on Jet, then they would think, well, if he has his ultimate, then he can play with the Stormblade and just drop a gun to one of his teammates. But that is not the case. We're seeing a new G2 trying a lot of different stuff in this officials, and it's gonna be shares. What they're gonna force. They want to finish this match as soon as possible. They're really thinking about vitality.
Explosive Seekers would be nice. Navova really doesn't have the weaponry to try and deal with it. Kills the cabbage that was heading his way. Zeon knows that there's people close fighting in the smoke. Savova trying to go for the koi play again. Actually does take a good portion of damage, but still finds Zeon. He really has the sky's number today. But Bromas is clearing up these sheriffs. Numbers advantage still there for Betis. They have the better guns. They have the spike down. But I still think G2 can do a number here.
Yeah, they can. They use those Seekers, also the flashes. Prisionero finds the second one.
Enemy remaining.
Oh my god. If he turns right, he can get maybe both of them. At least check the corner.
Crazy.
Kellogg's is the last alive. It was just holding out. And even on a 50 round like this, got to admit, it's been a spectacle to watch this G2 team. Betis thought they had that all under control, breaking through with the Seekers, having a full buy against G2's eco. Wasn't even really enough. Kellogg's there protecting from the back. I don't even think it was an eco for the most part. I think it might have just been a Vova that couldn't afford.
Yeah, I think it was a Vova and Nuki that couldn't get a tier 1 gun, but for the rest, I think it was they wanted to be aggressive and to be fast, but they were too fast and they were not cleaning up the site properly. That Avova first kill gave a lot to them, and again, Nuki and Raze is just Nuki and Raze. It's really hard to counter.
Viper's Pit used in showers. Xeon was ready to go there again, and potential, well, it is match point for G2, potential last round. The money for Betis isn't good. You just sort of see the Sheriffs with fires through there. Keith coming in close. Look, he shuts down that fight. The Hunter's Fury coming out on the attack, and it only kills Prizzy on Arrow. What a drastic way to go out. Mixwell with 2 with a snake bite. And just like that, G2 qualify for the closed part of the tournament. They'll be playing Vitality a little later on.